It's just less expensive.
Our parents owned a condo here.
And this too. They died.
And they passed away, and
Oh,
it was
sweet.
empty. And when we looked at our retirement, we lived better here. You know, a lot of people
plan for retirement.
Yes.
And I think, I just felt so youthful, even though I was in my 60s. I guess we didn't plan. So Florida was just less expensive.
You never strike me as retired, either of you, retired from anything.
Oh, I know. That's wonderful.
We're not retired from our curiosity.
We'll stop saying that because our second book is actually, there's a little outline for it at least. We got to that point.
Oh, we retired from corporate America, we should say. And now we're living our best life, as somebody says on one of those social medias.
Yeah. But everyone says wait till you're 65 because you get more money. But if you really interview everyone, you might say, oh, you waited until you were 65? And the answer was, fuck no, I want to enjoy my life. And it's like, okay, with less money. So it's not what you make, it's what you spend.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
There
you go. It's a bit of wisdom. I love it.
Just changing your point of view so it's rigged in your favor.
So a roommate. So now I have a roommate. I was thinking I was going to be able to live alone or across the hall. Mm-hmm. But, now we're here together.
You see, we're trying to decrease our carbon imprint even more.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Trying to give back.
Right.
Ecological reasons. I love it.
That's right.
And how has veganism been treating you in the last kind of 2 years? What's changed in that space for you?
Well, mostly for her.
Mostly. So what we decided was to be more whole food, plant-based, not no oil, but lower oil.
Because it was more affordable too. It wasn't like we wanted.
And then, adding olive oil fresh rather than cooking with it, that kind of thing. So anyway, what happened was it took a while, and it was a little bit boring, and I got a little upset with the food choices because I like cream sauces and gravies and things like that. So I had to learn how to do chemistry again in the kitchen. So I made it out of beans and different things.
Anyway, what was the result? How's it treating you?
The result is I have lost so much weight that Joan calls it an hourglass figure again.
Yes, she
does. I'm the lowest BMI you can be and still be normal. Joan actually missed the BMI chart by like a half. But I'm
also missing a lot of ribs,
and she is missing some ribs.
It was an anomaly when you're born. There's a cluster that's gone, and now I figured out why I get searched at the airport all the time. I was like, I don't think I look dangerous. They must not see the bone when you lift your arms up in that thing. And they must think I have drugs behind something, And I have to say, I'm missing an entire set of ribs.
They think she's got things in there. Now, you never know. She did have surgery at 6 months old. They may have left some things inside.
Yeah, right. And then now I have the titanium shit in my foot. So I ring and get searched.
But let me just tell you, changing to a whole food plant-based meant no process, technically.
It was very difficult.
And we also did things like we didn't want organic instant oatmeal that was just organic oatmeal. We wanted to buy rolled or steel cut oats because we just wanted no processed at all. So giving up all these seed oils and all these chemicals that you don't know what they are.
But when you're retired, you get to do this.
Yeah, because we're making a lot of our own food.
I ate a lot of field roast when I was working.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, giving all that up, I lost all that, what they say,
middle fat
that America has. And Joan and I call it SpongeBob SquarePants, that children's show about the square, sunshiny type person sponge. Anyway, all that's gone. So what I want to say is, oh no, this middle fat during menopause isn't actually normal aging.
Which they try to normalize online. They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because, women are at an increased risk of heart attacks with menopause. Hello, we've all been told middle fat is dangerous. It's all gone. I'm shocked.
I'm shocked too.
Oh, and I've got
Well,
recipes.
about her,
Oh
I'm
my
shocked.
goodness. We eat pancakes and we eat cream sauces made out of beans and things, and it's just delicious.
Yeah. And we'll save something for the show, but I'm repeating this. We don't eat in regular plates.
This isn't the show?
We're in the show.
Oh, we're in the show.
Joan keeps thinking that you're going to be done speaking with us. And
Please forgive me. I'm the younger twin. I was born with that brain tumor and had seizures. Yeah. So every so often, I didn't know this was the show. Anyway, so I do want to repeat this. We don't eat out of dishes. We eat out of pie plates because, to maintain your weight, because I don't have a BMI right now. I'm hoping for a BMI soon because I can't always gorge. Sometimes you can gorge if you're feeling, empty, I guess. But sometimes I can't gorge. So yeah, we eat out of pie plates.
And I'm one of the few humans that knows just how difficult it is to lose weight because I dieted a lot of my life because I was started out 5 pounds more than Joan. Then it was 10 pounds.
Then it was more.
Then it was more because I was a smoker of cigarettes for a while. Then I gave those up thinking I was universally unique and wouldn't gain weight. And then I gained like 25 pounds. It was crazy. And so the chronic dieting, I even did keto. Please don't anyone ever do that. If anyone's learned anything, people are dropping like flies in the United States. Strokes and heart attacks and amputations are on the rise because a lot of diabetics are being encouraged to eat keto, which is bizarre.
Because it gives a temporary blood sugar relief, but so does cinnamon and real maple syrup. That slows your blood sugar down. You can just add stuff. And those things I like. Jane doesn't like it. Yucca. Nope. Cassava. It's like a potato, but extra dense. I like it a lot.
It's so dense. It has one of those fibers that you barely digest it until it gets to the lower colon. And I find it, as someone who chronically dieted and even, keto, you're usually starving yourself to death.
How are you being vegan? What would you have
I was trying to do, you almost can't because most of your protein choices in the plant kingdom, because Mother Nature's perfect, have carbs as well and has fiber. I mean, you've got the trifecta right there. And I want to share that as we were whole food plant-based and I was starving. So I had to up my carbs. And oh my God, I love carbs, of course. Not white flour. I overdid it in my life. I can't have it. But interesting, I can have a little turbinado sugar, and maple syrup has amino acids in it, and it also has an insulin. I don't know which one's the right word or not, but it can be like cinnamon. It will slow your insulin spikes, etc. So it's actually good for you. Sugar is not correct anymore. The new science is some sugars have it over other sugars, obviously.
That's hilarious.
Because we know. But here's what I want to say. I had to up my carbs. I was eating a lot of legumes. I was hungry. So I was eating an awful lot. I actually gained a few pounds, like 2 or 3, right? Just like the literature says you might.
Oh.
Before the miracle happens. The more whole food, plant-based, low oil. It felt like it was overnight, but of course it's not. Months and months and years of struggling for weight loss because I don't know. I can't count calories. I can't. I won't.
We're good at math, but there's no way I could
count. I won't. I am one of those people that will admit that all diets, I ate more because I'm a closet eater. I knew how to eat more. And then if I showed the world I was eating 3 eggs in the morning, yogurt for lunch, and God only knows, maybe it was a plant-based protein then, that if they didn't see what I was doing in the closet, it didn't happen. And I could say that diet doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And I could maintain that SpongeBob middle. So I just wanted to share that I gained a few pounds before I started losing it in all the right places. It's really amazing.
Ditto.
In terms of the kind of the cooking aspect of it, did you get some help with that? Did you go through the kind of forks over knives kind of route, or was it experimentation? How did you get good at it?
She'll look at a recipe.
I'm like,
she'll actually look at.
I love recipes. I love watching shows, and they don't have to be vegan. My son has me watching those terrible shows where you're given like 6 stupid items, and you've got to, in a race, you have to make a good meal, and then if you gamble, I mean, the stress. I said to my son, who could do this? So what I do is I look at things like PCRM, where they're like so no oil, so healthy that I want to vomit, and I take it from there and add things like we cook with. I started out with broth, and we do a little bit of oil sometimes, especially an avocado oil or sesame, because Dr. Sebi says you could cook with those. And we don't like cooking, so I know the whole Mediterranean.
I don't like the smell in the air, and then your hair gets it, and your clothing. Yeah. I mean, I can't stand that. So I used to just broil shit fast.
Yeah.
But living with Jane, you know, you got to bake now, and there's sauces and stuff, which are delicious.
And you know, one of our cousins taught us, because maybe her mom was busier than our mom. She certainly had more children than our mom. And one day she gave us a bowl each of lentils.
Oh yeah, lentils.
And it had carrots and celery.
And a little spinach.
It was absolutely delicious, right? So when I asked her, because if it's delicious, I want to know, how did you prepare it? How did my Auntie Mary prepare this? When I mentioned sautéing the vegetables first, she looked at me like I had two heads, like, you don't have 5 kids there to feed? So we learned how you don't even have to saute the onion and garlic first, or the carrots or the celery, and everything can go in one pot.
Now, don't get me wrong. Shit didn't taste good at first. It didn't. So what PCRM, Dr. Barnard, she watches that too. Food, a lot of food, you know, like, wow, I don't ever look into the food. I look at skin benefits, don't get me wrong. I'm the anti-aging queen, so if it's going to help my skin, I actually love it. Like, my new affirmation is I eat an avocado a day. I don't. It's so big. It's a lot of it. But anyway, I don't even know where I was going. Oh, it didn't taste good. Right. And then he said, Dr. Barnard said, but you know, after, you know, a few weeks, you're going to realize you didn't want all that oil, and you're going to think it's heavy. So when our sister comes, she's older than we are, not that that mattered, but she's cooking in the manner that's a little bit more like we used to.
More Mediterranean, with a lot of, unlimited olive oil. I don't know if you know people that with the Italian heritage, there's unlimited salt in the pasta water, and there is unlimited olive oil and probably garlic, right? Right.
So it was a little heavy. Like, she came over and I'm like, wow, Jane, I can't do it. I felt like I was drinking olive oil, but you know, whatever. I think I threw it away the first day. You know, it might have made me sick or something, but I have to keep my weight on. So I have to gorge, unfortunately.
Oh, and for almost the first time since we were in high school, we used to drink like Ensure type drinks in addition to your 3 meals, because we couldn't gain weight when we were younger. But then I, had all that dieting stuff.
But we also wore long johns under our jeans and our tops and pretended we were freezing cold all the time.
Well, we were
because
more
we were so skinny back then. Well, we looked like olive oil. The guys said it.
Well, we kind of looked like this, bones,
and back in the 70s, I guess that wasn't that in. I thought somebody said it was, but no. Well, I think it was our height. We were just like, hello. We were the Statue of Liberty.
We come from a town, and I don't know how it happened. I don't know who said over there
5'9".
that we always had the prettiest girls in high school. So you could find pretty girls in high school that thought they were ugly because the top 10 were so gorgeous. I mean, we really did. So we used to joke that the boys from New York State were the better kissers, but the girls from Connecticut were prettier, and the girls from Rhode Island, unmatched hair. They had hair. It was unmatched. I mean, that wasn't thin like this, it was hair.
What was going on in Rhode Island?
Yeah,
with the hair products.
I think it's because of the ocean breeze. The whole state has got an ocean breeze. It's just the wind and all that. Girls pay money to get the scent and the volume of that ocean.
The sea spray.
Yes.
Yeah. It makes you sticky. It actually makes you sticky.
You're getting it for free. So the whole food plant-based kind of approach out in the world, because in the condo, I'd imagine it's all controllable, right? All nice and easy. How do you go and exist out in the world with that approach?
Well, we do a lot of sides with potatoes and vegetables.
Well, you have to ask if it had butter on it already.
A lot of times the rices are white with no fiber, and
And already has
flavored
butter
with
on
chicken
it.
broth or butter.
Yeah.
But we find a lot
But
of
how
potatoes.
do we do it, Jane? See,
That's what I'm
we go
telling
right
you.
to the negative
No,
first.
I
like
just
how-
said potatoes.
Oh, potatoes.
I just said it. Potatoes and vegetables. There's not. I don't. And then if there's a bread, you know, we eat most breads. We, you know, a lot of the white breads in the grocery store now in the United States have dairy hidden in there.
Yeah, as the dairy
When we were little,
demand goes down, we find dairy in melatonin supplements.
a lot
here
of
in the States.
medications. Supplements.
Yeah, a lot of. Well, we used to prescribe medicine, and I used to pretend all my patients were lactose intolerant because the original. Why not get the original medication? What do you want fucking milk in your medicine for? It's ridiculous.
And most people
You know,
are
by
lactose
age
intolerant
2
anyway.
to 4, everyone is almost lactose intolerant. And in a hospital, you knew not to give milk to somebody who's lactose intolerant, cow's milk, because, you know, it would make your life miserable because the gas that they had was like, it would make you cry. You know, please don't, oh my God, don't give him milk. But, you know, out in the regular world, I had a client that instead of giving up cow's dairy, he bought Lactaid. So it had a fucking enzyme in it that allowed you to partially
That's what we do
break
in
it
America.
down. Why not stay away from the tit? How about that? Or the udder?
No.
Yeah.
Actually, you guys once, a long time ago, had human breast milk ice cream. Brief. Everyone thought it was disgusting.
By it.
And yeah, it's real good for you, I guess. The Kardashians sell things to put it on your skin, the colostrum, because it's so good.
And if you look at, you know how all babies are beautiful, sort of. But if you look at a baby calf, they really are all beautiful.
Yes.
And so, you know, maybe we thought the cow was so much more beautiful than the human animal that, you know, Cleopatra bathed in milk and honey. And, you know, the milk from the cow, I don't know if it was from the cow with Cleopatra, you know, maybe we just wanted to be a different animal.
Maybe.
Envy. Yeah, we had some cow envy, yeah.
Wasn't Cleopatra a donkey's milk or something?
Oh, it
Maybe.
Wasn't it the ass's milk or something, I think?
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
I might have made that up, though. So
I once bought a cream that had goat's milk in it. And I have to say, it was lovely cream.
What's an emu?
That's an animal that they.
Somebody gave.
It's like a bird type, and I don't know. It's like
somebody gave us for free an emu cream that was, you know, for people, I guess, that are later on in life, and it wasn't for your face. It was
cream.
You know, the qigong call it the second heaven below the belt.
Right.
That's where the cream was for.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't listen at all. So, I mean, I listen to vegan stuff. And I guess she said that it was for the vagina. And somebody was saying, you know, like, your face looks good. And I said, oh, I'm using that new cream. And then Jane told me it had emu something in it. I was like, I don't even know what that is.
There's a famous cream in drugstores across America. I cannot think of the name. And it has emu oil or fat in it, and it's for pain. And a lot of people know about it. And the emu is an animal or a bird of some kind, I think from like Australia or New Zealand.
Well, I should have used it.
Yeah. And we have something else with horse something or other that there was, well, whatever.
Oh, horse urine.
Humans have used
Premarin.
Animals for years and years.
Instead
and
of going through your change of life naturally, a lot of women in this country get Premarin. And I'm not sure it's still horse urine, but it had horse urine in it because they needed the estrogen from the horse.
We do some odd things, don't we, as a race?
Yeah. I think even bullets might have. The pig that we use the most. And I used to have a chart that film and bullets and all kinds of stuff, tires. So if people say, oh, but I'm vegan and I don't, because I cheat now. I cheat on local organic honey because somebody on Twitter said if you're vegan and you don't help with local organic honey, you're just stupid. So I said, oh, whatever,
I'm not stupid, she said.
I do that, and I drive a car, so that apparently is cheating. But I have an old wool
maybe
sweater.
Not for long.
Yeah, the lease is up next month. It's gonna get expensive. And there, we wherever we live, there's a bus that'll pick us up right outside. But yeah. Anyway, I don't know. The pig is used a lot. Henry Lee used the pig. for finding that wood chip killer because the pig's flesh is almost identical to human flesh. Military know that. They stab pigs and shoot them routinely so that the guys or girls on their mission could try to save this pig.
Hello, darkness.
It's darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I don't know.
Jane and I are positive,
but I lost a lot of weight.
I don't know where we were going.
Very slowly, except in the end, the last, you know, that 5 pounds that maybe you don't know. Ladies, if there's any ladies, every lady knows that last 5 pounds, it is almost impossible to get that off your body. It's like literally, you want to cut it off. You want to starve yourself. You want to, some women that'll purge and then vomit as if they weren't going to absorb. So it's terrible what women go through in the name of being fat.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm very honored. So I initially gained a little weight, then I lost it slowly. Then I dropped I don't know. It was really weird. These toxins that hold all that weight on you.
Oh, but did you hear about that study? They studied nurses and doctors, and if the more plant-based they were,
The less severe COVID.
Yep. And then I think Jane read with Dr. Greger, when you're plant-based, we can actually get rid of toxins more easily than if you're still eating meat, which I knew because I can't give blood because why can't I give blood? Because I was in Europe in the 80s. Certain
length of time in the 80s when mad cow disease started.
And I was only vegetarian.
And even though it's I was always told it was a genetic thing. So we knew this doctor who went to Europe and then he passed away. So he
recently of mad cow, which blew me away that he did.
Yeah. So anyway, well, it's just like 10 people touch a doorknob and only 8 got COVID. 10 people eat the hamburger that you eventually can get mad cow, but only 8 people got it. So they look at that, what is going on? Is it genetic? Is it this? Is it that?
Yeah.
I didn't. So is that a US rule that you can't give blood if you've been in Europe for a certain period
for
of time?
Joan, yes, it's a US rule. Because we were recently looking into donating blood because I was wondering, I really am, as a nurse, I'm wondering. Let me back up. So in the 80s, when everybody was dying of AIDS, well, those few people that were getting AIDS, but they were dying, it was a death sentence. There were physicians that would not enter a room if the patient had the breathing tube in their throat. And I worked critical care back then. And what I also found interesting as a backstory, and I love America, is 90% of my patients that were dying of AIDS, their wives and children were visiting them, not their boyfriend, for example. And the support was wonderful of the families. It really was a wonderful thing. But anyway, so I'm not sure, why are we talking? Oh, I had to back up because people were dying.
Yeah.
Oh, well. It's all, I don't know.
Something to do with, I thought you could get rid of toxins. I thought we were talking about.
We were talking about giving blood, weren't we, in the US?
Oh, giving blood.
Thank you. So the doctors not only would not go in the room, that more than one doctor whispered in my ear, I would never donate blood because you will never get those T cells back again.
Which are your fighter killer cells.
Okay. So maybe they're right. They won't be as mature. It'll be like the newbie coming into the military. You don't want the new person running the whole military operation. You want the more experienced soldier or general or whomever.
Voila.
Right?
I don't know. I've never been in the military.
So I was thinking, what if somebody, because they're doing fecal transplants in the labs anyway, and probably very wealthy people. What if on the opposite end, we, might be thinking that, because nobody really wants to eat a certain way. No one wants to give up their burger. No one wants to this and that. So, anyway.
This
donating
fecal transplant
blood
thing.
What?
This fecal transplant thing, it's a gut health thing, right? Is that the motivation behind it?
Oh, yes, because they, you could eat the standard American diet and then get the fecal implant of somebody like us. Well, younger, obviously you want, but whole food, plant-based, very healthy. And shove it into their colon, and then it fights cancer.
Because what your gut would like you to serve it, if it were a person, is 100% fiber. And if you are giving your gut meat and dairy and fish, you are
eggs.
You're being very mean to that. You're being very mean. Your gut requires.
As there's no fiber. As there's zero fiber
in animals. So what the fuck? God forbid you eat a blade of grass, you know? Like, oh my God, like I hate lettuce. I hate salads. I can't stand, like people say, you know, oh, I like salad too. Really? I hate it. Wow. You think as a vegan, like that's the last thing I'm ever ordering at a restaurant. And I think you said, how do you do it outside? You know, first I ask, you know, do you have a baked potato? Sometimes they say only for dinner. So then, you know, I just want, you know, maybe you can have beans, or you could make me some pasta, or you can fucking figure it out. Rice.
There was there's one French restaurant in New Haven, Connecticut that we ended up having. You know the nuts you get in a bar?
Yeah.
In the States.
They really
nuts,
didn't
right?
have anything.
They had nothing for us, and everyone was into protein back
we
then.
got really drunk
and we
that
got
night. It was
nuts.
terrible, because if you don't eat as a female anyway, you're getting drunk. And I saw it was just nuts, and I'm thinking, oh well, the wine was on, you know, them that night.
Oh, and it was French.
It wasn't
wine.
a budget.
Come on. It was not wine in a box. You know, we were having 2 glasses each, so it was as if we had gastric bypass.
Yeah,
and totally drunk because of the nuts.
You know, people don't know that either. Like every client I ever had that had gastric bypass said, if I knew I was going to become an instant alcoholic, I wouldn't have gotten it done. And do they not think there's enzymes that do things? If you take the enzymes away from your stomach, who's going to digest that shit you just gave them?
Well, we're
nobody.
Americans, and you have to forgive a lot of Americans who think we've been told since we were infants, you live in the greatest country in the world. You are the greatest country. I mean, we liberated the concentration camps. I don't think most of us think there was an English person or there, you know, any other. There was nobody else but Americans.
No Australians.
Fighting World War II. I don't know if you know that about us Americans. Because we saw the movies.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah, so again, I don't know where we were going with any
But
of that.
speaking of giving blood, what I'm wondering is if you are someone that eats a standard American diet because you're thinking it's healthy for you and you're getting sick, I wonder if these people that donate blood a lot more often than I do they feel better briefly because they got rid of the old gunky blood? And your body has to rehydrate very quickly, but then create new, cells. And if you, I don't know, it's just a thought.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what doesn't work. You know what never worked?
What's that?
Was putting people who suffer from opiate addiction under anesthesia for the 3 days so that they can wake up and not have a detox feeling whatsoever.
Was that thing, was it?
That was a thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think we even did that when we transferred them from methadone to Suboxone. You know, everyone on the streets call it Suboxone, so sometimes we just say instead of say it incorrectly. It's actually O-N-E, but yes. So we joke Suboxone, but that's not the way you pronounce it.
Well, my son was taught different English growing up because I'm hearing a lot of people are wondering why nobody in America can spell. There's a lot of different weird things. But I recall when my son was in elementary school, the teacher saying that we want the children to sound things out on their own, and we don't care if they spell correctly in the beginning. So phone might be F-O-N-E before it's a P-H, things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and my name, because I'm Joan, J-O-A-N. For some reason in Florida, I'm called Joanne. And Jane thinks it's because of that. Maybe.
Yeah, but you know why? Because they sound it out right in front of her. She's not called Joanne. She's called Jane. Is it Joanne? Even they're sounding it out as they go.
Even at the motor vehicle department for my new license, they said Joanne. I'm like, that must be me. And I told the guy, I said, I pronounce it Joan. No one's heard of Joan of Arc. Joan Jett,
old. You're old. The
Joan
youth.
Crawford.
Thank goodness for the youth.
Joan's a fairly, you know, a name that everyone knows. I would have thought. I'm surprised.
Yes, I
at
think
Joanne.
in your neck of the woods they do. Not in America.
Not in Florida. I don't know
not
what happened.
popular.
And we were on a podcast, and I don't recall the state. Maybe you do.
Indiana. I think it's the state that I could just be a jerk.
Indiana.
I think it's Indiana.
And they call Joanne there as well. Because the guy said my grandmother is Joanne, and she spells it Joan.
Well, listen, we're Americans. We don't have time to put that extra N and E to turn Joan into Joanne. We have to say it now. When do we want it? Now.
And
right
I
now.
almost didn't get on a plane.
They
had it as Joann. And that isn't my name. And the passport said Joan. The boarding pass said Joanne, I guess. And I'm like, look, we're identical twins. There's nothing going on here. Oh, I almost wasn't able to get on that
We have
plane.
more policies and things just to make sure.
The missing ribs. Are you kidding? They thought I was a drug lord. Unbelievable. Where's Joan? In the interrogation booth at the airport.
There's a perfect American comedian. He's G-rated, which is great because sometimes you want someone other than Jerry Seinfeld, who I love, to be a G-rated comedian. And he's from Tennessee or Kentucky, and I love how a New Englander doesn't know those two states. I've been to one, not the other, or something. He's so funny that his name is Nate, but it's Nathaniel.
Oh, yeah, he almost
how
didn't get on the plane.
Airport somewhere in the United States could not make that jump.
That's how he calls it.
From Nate to Nathaniel. They can't see it because that's that.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'd be done for then. My name's James, really. It's nothing like Jim, but Jim's short for James, right?
Yeah. Well, we know
Jane's ex-husband is
my
James.
ex-husband is James, and I believe I called him Jim, Jimbo, asshole, whatever fit the day.
My ex-husband's name is John. My first boyfriend's name is John, and I'm actually interested in John.
Yes, she
is.
Crazy.
Do
you know what?
This is
when is this? When is this?
Stupid,
James.
I won't send it.
When is this being aired? Because her
Next
new
week.
crush
Eats meat,
knows his own name, and knows.
Oh.
And now knows Joan has a crush.
I won't send this. He doesn't know about social media. Actually, he's older. I have never dated somebody this old. But,
Joan, you keep getting older.
I keep getting older. Yeah, I keep forgetting. My mother told me she was in her 80s, and I said, Ma, does it ever end? Because we were both looking at a guy. And she said, no. I said, this is unfortunate, because you get older and older as a woman. Obviously, you look creepy. I mean, men already have that. Old men, they already know they're fucking creepy. I hope they know. Because the young girls don't want any of that.
I doubt he's going to be listening to he's going to be listening to a vegan podcast anyway. You're probably safe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
absolutely.
She keeps sending podcasts.
Yeah, I do. But I won't send this particular episode.
She'll make sure
put this on social media.
But that's all right. This Thursday, which I think is tomorrow or the next day, we're going to see him, which we already know it's been too long. She does like him, but he can't tell us apart. So he's bringing a buddy.
Because I don't think he even likes me.
Hey, for the wing woman over here.
So I'm hoping wingman over here.
I'm going to have to distract Daniel.
Danny will start singing.
I'm going to start singing "Oh Danny Boy" because he better be Irish. Because the only reason I'm going to hang out with this Irish cop's friend is because I already know there's a book. I don't know if you've heard of it. I'm sorry. My ex-husband is Irish. My father had our father's an Italian man who had some issues with the Irish school teachers. So Jane grew up, and I married this Irish man so fast because I love the Irish culture. So one might say I used to be a wannabe Irish, but anyway,
where was this?
This was going. I owned a book up until recently, how the Irish saved civilization, and for the life of me, I can't remember. I know I didn't buy it. Well, I don't know that.
Maybe it has to do with the potato.
I wonder if Jim bought it for me, my ex-husband. But anyway, do you know how I never read the book, but do you know what inside cuff
No,
says?
no, we don't. How
Go
would we,
for it.
right? We don't know.
Go
Jane.
for it.
Because none of you are Irish, right? Neither am I. My son is half Irish, so I took an interest. Anyway, the Irish are famous poets and writers. And at one point, I think, I'm not good with a lot of the wars in history, but it could have been one of the wars where a lot of books were burned. But the Irish, in monastery type places, they hand copied everything that was saved that was not burned. So we have the Irish patience to thank for that.
Oh, there you go.
For a lot of literature.
You know, I'm very impressed with young people because they have something called the planetary diet because they're concerned, those poor things, about the planet. You know, people that are retired, it's like we know it's going to last for us. You know, we're so sorry for the younger people, but I'm not nervous. But I can't get much lower with my carbon footprint. I never even had a kid. I could probably use air conditioning for the rest of my life. I'm 68. I never had a kid, so I didn't do that. Anyway, the young people are concerned. They're going more plant-based because I see that on the internet. And the German government, they said they were going to show people and eat plant-based during meetings, government meetings, just to show the world it can be done. And recently I mentioned that, and one of my cousins said they can't tell people what to eat. And I was like, they're not telling people, they're showing by example. Kind of like when I was vegan, I was just telling everybody, you are a murderer. You're eating women and children. Like I was vicious.
Joan was that kind of vegan.
But now, like Dr. Barnard, I had met him on several occasions, and he said, he went like this, I do it by example. And I'm thinking, well, you know, if this is my thought process back then, sure. But some people don't have time to wait. Like if you were in the World War II Holocaust, do you want somebody to show peace through example, or do you want somebody to go in charging and end it? And that is why, because I don't work in a slaughterhouse, because it would be ended that day.
Because you see, our Father
who are in heaven
is in heaven right now. Yes, he was in the Korean War, and he was on the front lines. And some men and women go into the military. They do their 1 year, 3 years, however, or some make it a career. Our Father defined himself with the 3-ish years he spent in the military because he saw so much action and how many people he saved, etc. And so we are kind of like that in our being rebels, where we will run and scream because it's like a war right in us. And you know, you got to forgive us because DNA is a funny thing, and it is passed through to the fetus.
No one has to forgive us.
And so not only, you know, cardiac disease gets passed on. I mean, we know certain, you know, autism is being passed on, but also emotions. You know, there's a lot of literature about people who were suffering in concentration camps, and they have offspring, ancestors now. They have not borne witness to it themselves, but they've heard stories, etc. Well, there's research that they didn't have to, and that DNA, they've got some scary, you know, fears. Oh, we're sorry.
Thank you.
Hey, Ziggy, turn off.
I'm
so sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's positive. We get the Zigmaster or Alexa,
his name.
that thing, the Alexa thing, or what you guys have in England.
And Hey Google, that
we get
smart
positive
speakers.
affirmations, and then he says it throughout the day, and that helps.
And I just read with Dr. Greger, there's something else that's being passed on, and it's kind of scary to think of because our mother loved meat and dairy. She loved it. So they're saying that mothers who have had high protein, animal protein diets while they are pregnant, the new science is coming out that the high protein is raising cortisol levels, the stress hormone, and they're finding the children 30 years out have higher cortisol levels at baseline than kids where their moms might have been considered a hippie and went kind of vegetarian or vegan.
Our mother
was a big meat eater.
She ate, when she was pregnant, she told us she ate pepperoni and drank red wine because, of course, it was never 1960. They probably told you to have the whole bottle.
Well, they did tell
to
her to go
decrease
home
your
and have a
stress.
drink,
They did. But yeah. And apparently, which was nice, she drank no cow's milk. Nice, because she would gag. Our mom, she didn't really like dairy. But anyway, getting back to that whole being a vicious vegan, it really didn't work. But I'm grateful because we recently visited Connecticut, where I was kicked out of multiple restaurants and bars when I was an activist. We went for lunch at one of the places, and he was so nice to me. He called us old dear friends, and I'm thinking, were you the one? And he said, it wasn't me. He says, but you are family. You're always welcome here. So it's actually, he didn't even mind that I was kicked out when I was a bitch back then. But yeah, that was so nice. I'm working on a lot of forgiveness now.
Go to Wallingford, Connecticut, and go to all the local bars and restaurants.
But yeah, most restaurants do have stuff that you can eat. There are places in this country, pockets where it's not quite, there's no colleges to be found. There's not
probably
quite
no
a
highways.
Downtown. No. It's very difficult to eat. Like Dr. Barnard will say, yeah, but you could go to Taco Bell and have a burrito. I don't want that one. I think I can go and wait until I get home. I'm not going to a fast food restaurant. I'm just not doing it. Ugh. Anyway, I heard France has like 1,500 McDonald's.
Going back to the point about you were saying about young people, planetary diets, and you're talking about the example of Germany. There's I don't know if you've heard of this in the UK. There's a big sort of plant-based university movement going on at the moment, where university students are voting to make sure that the menus served to them at university campuses are plant-based, and there's now I think 2 or 3 universities that have gone completely plant-based in everything they offer.
Wonderful.
Like how absurd not to have that as an option.
Yeah.
By the way, the human body needs fiber, but we would prefer not to serve that to children and adolescents. Like, get rid of the real food and let's give them whatever it was I ate. It was like cardboard with cheese on it and shit.
It's great
terrible.
that that movement is making real sort of change.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, here in this country, when
that is really good.
Michelle Obama had her project, as most vice presidents have something, and she was going to do something about the school system for I thought it was the young children, to have more fruits and vegetables. And
it didn't go well.
It didn't go well. Things just don't go. We have
cowboys
industries here. They're so powerful. I'm so grateful for PCRM. I'm grateful for Dr. Greger, people like you. I'm so grateful because I grew up thinking I had to have animal protein, any type of carbohydrate. I thought white flour and wheat flour was the same. We didn't know any better. And a vegetable, and then somehow you're supposed to add 2 fruits in there somewhere.
And somehow you're expected to actually go to the bathroom. That was amazing. There's like an entire country of constipated individuals. No wonder we're all going to war. I mean, it's uncomfortable. When I traveled for the first time out of this country, but I was vegetarian, it was very hard for me to eat because even in Italy, like they had escarole and beans, but it was chicken broth and everything. So I refused to eat it. So there were no vegetables back in the day there. I remember I hated salad. I didn't eat it. Oh, yeah, so I pretty much had cheese, and I went almost 5 or 6 days and I started to cry. I'm like, wow, this is no way to live. And it was really bad. So my first trip out of this country didn't go well. I think France, I had 2 pieces of bread with some mustard on it because they only had a hot dog somewhere. I don't know where the fuck I traveled, but it wasn't vegan friendly at all. But yeah.
In America, people are so afraid. Where do you get your protein? We really have been conditioned to. Like, I'll admit it right now. I mean, did I say I'm sorry to my kid? He's my grown man son. I don't think so, because he should be thanking me. He already knows what I've done for him.
Yeah.
But because I've always said if I had to do parenting over again, I'd look at the ingredients a little bit more and, make different choices and I'm a nurse. And, as a nurse, I was thinking protein. And my kid naturally hated almost everything. And I know I kind of made him have 2 glasses of cow's milk a day.
That's because we had a marketing scam of protein.
Yeah,
America
it was
eats
I fell into
twice as much protein as everywhere else, because we have all fallen for the scam. If you look it up, you're not supposed to have that high protein.
And we've got dialysis places in every town now. I mean, if you want to blow your kidneys, eat a lot of animal protein. So,
have you seen any kind of noticeable shift in attitude towards veganism from moving from Connecticut to Florida? Are the attitudes better, worse, about the same?
I think the attitude is better down here.
I think it's slightly better. But we're on the East Coast, where there are a lot of New Yorkers and people from New Jersey, apparently. But I find vegan options easier here
in the restaurants. It's a little easier.
Right. Not in the middle of Florida. There are places we've met friends in the middle where there's no city, no downtown, no something.
But average towns. And what I'll say about Connecticut is the wealthier towns have a lot more options. When you look at our presidents, there's really very few obese people in our former presidents and their families. It's like these chronic diseases and
just bypass
obesity bypass a lot of the presidents. The other thing they do, they die at home, because if you knew anything about the healthcare system, you'd choose to die at home too.
Yeah.
I mean, we also have a huge population that want to have their babies at home. Why are you doing that if the hospitals are the greatest place to have it? I chose to have my child in a hospital because we grew up with stories. Our mother almost died. Pregnancy was a nightmare here for us, but other humans, it's a happy event.
And our older sister, she was happy.
Well, she was survival of the fittest. We weren't. I really did. I thought it was a death sentence. Oh, well.
Ask another question about vegan.
I asked a question about the differences between Connecticut and Florida, purely because, and forgive the complete ignorance, but there's a perception, I think, over in the UK from sort of the US, the politics in Florida particularly is perhaps less progressive, and so as a result, something like you could extrapolate from that something like veganism is probably less acceptable than perhaps the East and the West Coast cities.
Yes.
Kind of
when we talk about cowboys, the conservative people stayed in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. They might venture the north, more north, a little bit north, but it was the rebels of some type of rebels that chose to risk their lives and go all the way to the other coast.
Yeah,
I mean the stories, and of course we grew up with Native Americans were horrible and white people were the best people on earth, but it was to risk your life.
Now young people don't celebrate Thanksgiving, and good for them. What are we celebrating is true. Like, they bring up good points. We don't want to let go as older people. Well, we do. We let everybody ahead of us in the grocery store too. We're retired. You look like you're still working, and you look stressed. You go along.
We also heard that letting go of old hurts and resentments. Being very forgiving is very anti-aging. So of course that's on our agenda.
But people in this country are dealing with ingredients that it's not our fault, but our FDA has kept it in. I just read this morning, because it came out on my search, that the UK back in the 70s, you guys got rid of a thing in soda.
An oil of some kind.
It was brominated vegetable oil. And I'm like, what is that? And bromated breads too, I think you guys got rid of. And that was 1970 that you're talking about, that research about that. And our FDA is considering it today in 2023. We are just a slow, you know what we are? We're young. And, as young people, you think you know everything.
Yes.
I thought I knew everything. We didn't mind Tyler Mill Road, turn all the car lights out, street lights are all out, go blind down Tyler Mill Road.
Yeah.
We're adolescents. Are we ever going to die? No. But now there was something, they were interviewed 100%, not Jane likes 100%. There's never 100% in science, but 100% of retirees in the United States that were interviewed said that if they could do it over again, they would have paid way more attention to what they put in their mouths. Because, of course, what's happening now? You all have diseases. We have none.
Do you know what was the number one piece of food that all those brave rebels flying out of New England to go out west, what they put in their saddlebag or their wagon was a sourdough starter. And so
they protected it.
They protected at all costs because they knew how nutritious you could live on your bread, especially if it was sourdough, so it was more easily digested and you got more nutrients. And you talk to an American and mention bread, they think it's the devil. You can't eat bread because you're going to get fat.
We just saw a movie.
Everyone's fat because they turned down bread.
We just saw a movie where the person took the English muffin away from the fast food restaurant and ate the egg and the ham. And I actually saw a mother do that to their child. And it's like, wow, we're going to induce kidney disease at a very young age. Why? It's not there. It's nobody's fault because this country works against you. What the food industry and whatever they have, they want to just say, continue to eat high fructose corn syrup, continue to eat packaged foods and the sodas and whatever it is, and the meat and you just found out about the fish. They're saying it's wild caught, and there was this huge percentage. It's farm raised.
You know, Dr. Gray. Well,
don't give
in
fiber.
This country. The fraud rate is about 1 in 3 fresh or wild caught fish were really farm raised. 1 out of 3 tested. You know, it's because we have capitalism. I mean, to get ahead, you have to step on the other son of a bitch to get to where you're going. So anyway, you mentioned bread in this country, and people won't eat it. And what they did was they shouldn't eat white bread. They took out the germ and the bran. Like, they took out the
fiber. Because your gut doesn't want fiber, apparently. So, corporate America said, let's give zero fiber. Period.
See what happens.
See what happens to their gut. We have a lot of ologies in this country, you know, gastroenterology, you know, what other ologies? Rheumatology. We just have a lot of specialists in this country that are making mint off of the standard American diet. And, you know, everybody I know, they want to just eat that way because they believe it is okay. A lot of people believe what you put in your mouth means nothing.
But a lot of people also believe that their ancestors ate this way. Right. And what they don't realize, there's things like glyphosate and dioxin and things like somebody's trying to get by, and somehow cows in our country, I don't know about you guys, but our cows, according to Mother Nature, they're supposed to eat grass, and you could find grass-fed. But the ones that are in the factory farms, some rocket scientist said, I think that genetically modified corn would be a better grain than grass. And here I said grain because Native Americans lived on this grain called corn. We were told it was a vegetable that kind of stays in its same form and you shit it out a few days later. And Native Americans, this odd group of people, somehow survived on this thing called corn, which I was taught at a baccalaureate level. I got a bachelor's of science, and I had a nutrition class, college level, telling me corn was not nutritious. Neither was watermelon, except it had a little water in it. Thank you. They at least acknowledged that. It's just a joke. So anyway, here's the funny part. Gregor's talking about fish.
Something's funny.
Fish, they're now saying it's not right now, but for women or whomever has a uterus and is going to get pregnant, that if you don't stay away from fish 5 years before you conceive, the amount, sure, there's mercury. Your body's been working hard to get rid of it. But besides mercury, there's all these PCBs and other types of chemistries. I'm not sure what they are that you can't get out of your brain and your body. And so the reason Dr. Greger said they're looking at 5 years is because women who were tested 1 year out, 2 years out, 3 years out, maybe she or the human only ate half the scrod at the dinner table that day, or half a tuna fish sandwich, and another one ate 3 tuna fish sandwiches. They didn't see a significant reduction in all these horrible PCB type chemicals until 5 years later, being able to wash it out of our bodies. So it is now a disgrace that the food, and farm raised, of course, was worse, even though fresh and wild caught still had, obviously, we're eating plastic in our salt, apparently.
And they said glyphosate is making the world, sorry, it's not just America, the entire world adolescent intelligence is dropping and they're attributing it to glyphosate. Isn't this wonderful? We have a friend from high school. He worked on a farm a lot, industrialized farm, and he said maybe that's why, and this is his words, Christ, you can't even to make a joke. Maybe that's why I have that girl's disease. And we said, what's that? And he said fibromyalgia. And I thought, oh, we always thought it was toxins because our clients, females that had it, were very liberal with their creams.
They did a lot of applying toxins or washing with toxins. If you really interviewed, like one of my clients went to a naturopath, and basically it was toxins she was putting in her body, whether it be TV dinners or Kraft macaroni and cheese, whatever it has. We have the cereals are sprayed with vitamins and chemicals called BHT, BHA, although we may have gotten rid of it. Anyway, the naturopath said, get rid of all these toxins that you're getting in your body and putting on your body. Not much I can do about the air you breathe, but it was true. She didn't have fibromyalgia after that.
Oh, wow.
It was years. It took years, though.
My client was so nervous one day. She says, oh, Jane is rough. I'm so glad I have you as a therapist. And I said, why? She said, because you don't yell at me about what I'm putting in my body. And I'm like, I should have been. Like I said, you mean I'm not? And normally I was, but I started calming with age, and then Jane was more passionate about what so-and-so was putting in her body.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're working on a book.
Yes.
What else is in the pipeline for you?
Well, we have this contract with one of my exes that he would start he said, everybody's concerned about obesity. Why don't you two have a show and just show people how to eat and what to eat? And I was like, yeah, I'm not probably going to do that. I mean, if somebody had a gun in the background and threatened me, I think I could, but we're kind of slothy. But I think
put me in the kitchen. I'm going to tell you, as long as you don't time me.
Yeah.
Once the timer goes on those shows, I freeze. I really do. I'm one of those.
He really wants to set that up.
And you give me 6 or 10 ingredients and I'll find something.
And I have another ex who's plant-based in the field of, film writer, producer. There's him. So he could help too. Jane, do you have anybody, Jane? A producer? She sure does.
Jim can do all the composing.
There you go, Jane.
My ex-husband's brilliant with all his music.
There you go. And most of the people that used to be in my life, they're mostly plant-based now. Because,
And my son could do a lot, but, something about my kid, I think it would be inappropriate if I sort of made him kind of...
Well, you would never make him.
Or want him to do something. I don't know. If he wanted to.
Here's a phenomenon in the United States. You tell me if it's going on in England, is men have boobs in the United States. And I want to say that another one of my exes, who is 100% plant-based for years now, had larger breasts than us. And he no longer has that.
Oh, right.
Like, it's called gynecomastia, but he doesn't have that. I mean, because that's an unattractive look. Boobs.
Let me just tell you about our beloved Western medicine.
Yeah.
And I love it sometimes because you know what? I want a pill sometimes too. I've been on pills. I didn't want to do the work. Meditate, please. Americans, do we even know how to meditate?
No, I still don't.
I don't think so.
No.
But anyway, I don't know. Maybe I forgot what I was talking about.
Man boobs.
Oh, what we do in America is now an infant can be born with breasts.
Yes.
And instead of saying, oh, no, this shouldn't happen. Western medicine makes up a name to call it a disease state or a syndrome or a condition of some kind.
Yes.
That an infant is born with breasts. And
we both had clients, 2 mothers that had that, because they asked, oh, you've heard of this? Nope. I went to the archaic nursing school back in the day, but no, because back in nursing school, if somebody, farted too much, burped too much, had indigestion, the nurse spoke to that human being. You had to make a whole care plan about changing your diet. Kidney disease, you were on a kidney anti-inflammatory diet in medicine. But yet,
a kidney diet is low protein.
Low. But, that's what you were supposed to do. Now we give, those toxic proton pump inhibitors, those medicines to suppress the acid. Where's that acid going? I'll tell you where that's going. It's going to come out in your skin at some point, because psoriasis, when we were young, there were 3 diseases that were not diseases. They were more skin conditions. Seborrhea, psoriasis, eczema, seborrhea, psoriasis, very benign skin disorders. Well, now psoriasis
in the 70s,
yes,
because it just
now if you continue with the Western American, what's that called? Standard
American
and
diet.
You get psoriasis. Well, hello, it goes into your bone and it becomes psoriatic psoriasis, which is kind of like a bone cancer. It is horrifically painful.
And then we put you on all those types of meds.
And you go on chemo meds.
Yeah. Our dad was on a chemo type med for, what he was on? He got the one disease causing another disease, and then you have to medicate disease number 2 instead of trying to not cause a second disease from a first disease state.
I wasn't finished. So I dated this guy that had psoriasis all over his genital junk. And I, being a nurse, should have known that's not transferable there. But I was like, this isn't going anywhere. Like, that's not going. It's not even touching my skin. So we went to an alternative person, and finally, thank God, this guy said it, because sometimes men don't listen to what a fucking female is saying. And he said to the guy, you're eating acid. You're drinking acid. Where do you think that acid is going to go? And it was coming out into his skin and all over his balls and penis, all over it. He changed. I think he went vegan like the next day. Yeah, unbelievable. But people don't want to hear it. Maitake mushroom kills prostate cancers in the Petri dish, 99.9. God forbid you eat a fucking mushroom. Because food doesn't do anything. What?
Which mushroom?
Maitake. In Japan, they eat it all the time. It kills prostate cancer cells in a Petri dish. Yes.
Wow.
99.9%.
Oh, here's something. If you buy mushrooms, they say if you put them on a tray in the sun for at least 4 hours or maybe 6, you're going to increase the amount of vitamin D in the mushroom that the mushroom actually has naturally in it. And then you're going to eat more vitamin D. And if you have a good gut that has all that microbiome doing the job it should do, you don't even have to take supplements, because Americans are all tied to a vitamin D supplement. And I don't know why people settle for this. I'm so furious.
Well, because when they don't have that gut, nice flora growing, it says it interferes with your deabsorption. Our AMA lowered the vitamin D normal because everyone was coming in abnormal. So they lowered it. They also lowered, which I guess is a good thing, they lowered that diabetes marker so that we could tell earlier. Whatever. But they tell everyone to eat meat.
Yeah. I had a guy on last week who is involved in a study at the moment. It's like a £500,000 investment with Swansea University down in South Wales, as part of the UK, to study the potential impact of synthetic nutrients that are being added into things. When you see like added now with vitamin D and stuff like that, they love putting it on cereal boxes saying, vitamin D and so on. And they're studying the effects of it. And so far, early signs seem to be that the At best, synthetic vitamins do nothing, and at worst, they're actually detrimental to human health. But they're completely, certainly in the UK, completely unregulated insofar as you can pop them in anything, in any product you want, and then say this has got added this has got added that.
Well, we
The only
spray
thing
on.
you can't do is put them in organic.
We do
in
Right.
an organic product.
We spray vitamins, and so for example, a very big important vitamin when a woman is in childbearing age is a particular B vitamin called folate or folic acid.
Folic acid, yeah.
So folic acid is the most. And my God, this is the most synthetic. I think folic acid is the most synthetic form of that, which is what most of the spray on our cereals, all our fortified breads has it. But there is I don't know the percentage, but I know I am one of these people because my son had the blood test and he cannot synthesize or break down folic acid for all the use in the body. He can have some of it. There's a blood test, but the important part that goes upstairs, crossing the blood-brain barrier, you need. Joan loves to say it has to change 5 times or 7 times, 5 times to get through to a form, L-methylfolate, to go up here for all kinds of good things that we need vitamins for. So we're talking about a lot of people that can't do this, and these are people in America. The red flags would be easily constipated with decreased fiber, miscarriages, difficulty just maintaining
vascular
pregnancy, getting
diseases, vascular disease, depression with suicidal thoughts,
all kinds of things.
She said constipation, right?
Associated with a vitamin, right? Well,
cardiac diseases.
I think the what do you call it? The mind state of science. We've gone so far, and when I say we, let's talk world, that we even have the audacity to think that something synthetic could be good for my body. This perfect thing called a Homo sapien. I'm a human animal. And you think that a synthetic piece of something, although resembling the piece of fruit I'm drawn to, that it's going to do the same thing in the body. I find that laughable, but I'm older now, and people have been growing up with a lot of different things. And I'm as ignorant about a lot of things as I see that as.
Yeah.
But the synthetic vitamins make people toxic, and you're not getting the benefit from it.
Yeah. Well, it'll be it'd be a kind of breakthrough kind of study, I think, if it's going to yield, I'd imagine, the result that they're expecting. And then off the back of it, he's launching a government petition. So in the UK, if you get so many signatures on a petition, it has to be discussed in Parliament, in the Houses of Parliament.
Well, this person should just get they should listen to this podcast. And I'm all about, if you want to break things down to the more easily absorbable for the human animal, that's great science. Make it easily absorbable, because you can buy L-5-methylfolate, something like that, over the counter. Now, that's something my son and I can take, and we have many benefits from that.
I don't think it's as beneficial. See, it had the number 5 in it. It's supposed to be pure L-methylfolate. And America knows all about it, because I, at one point in Connecticut, was the number 1 prescriber of the vitamin for mental health was L-methylfolate. It has milk in it, so say you're lactose intolerant if you want it. But I had several clients that their suicidal thoughts went away miraculously. People don't believe that food does anything. It blows me away. You got fat from it. Did you believe that? No, they think it's their fucking metabolism. No, you ate stuff that your body said high fructose corn syrup. I don't know what that is. We are human beings. A lot of people don't know this. Everybody, you and we all, every human being has to metabolize something first. That's called a carbohydrate, which includes sugar. We all 100. Don't tell me you're unique. We're all going to do one other thing second. It's fat, and then protein is last. So Wen Peng Yu from Australia proved that sugar, because it's also called carbohydrate, that's what confuses the whole world. I'm so sorry
They
about that.
never heard of
They
things
don't
like
know
barley and brown rice.
that are both
and
grains,
farro.
but yeah, it's very confusing. So sugar and carbohydrates together, put it together for now, is causing global obesity identically. Oh, he proved it was protein. Thank you. He proved that animal proteins causing global obesity identically to sugar. Did that article go? I used to have a copy of that article. It's not in my email. Now you have to email him at his school and request that article being written out. The World Health Organization republished it. It's very hard to find. And it's because there's a protein conspiracy. Mm-hmm. But everyone is getting fat because your body didn't want that. Your body wanted that last.
Right.
You heard that.
And the human
carbohydrate,
body
fat,
is
protein, last.
so amazing that if you feed it mostly protein, the human body is going to try super hard to get what it needs.
Did you hear how she said hard? It's working your body. It's very difficult.
Because the human animal
only had protein sometimes.
Listen, every athlete that I ever worked with, because I never exercised, I observed and asked questions. These are people that would do those triathlons.
Yes.
They really exercise things I just didn't think my body could do. But I watched them, and one woman, and see, back in the day, she would eat the entire pizza, and it was, I think, a veggie pizza.
Sorry.
It might have had a little bit of pepperoni on it. But she had to eat all these carbs because that's what her body was going to need in the morning when she ran. Mm-hmm. And these are the things it was going to store that. But now what we're doing is the body saying, Jesus Christ, could you stop giving me all this animal protein?
And in Whole Foods, my face dropped when I saw how much it cost for that bread. We make our own bread now, but
we don't know
Ezekiel bread. Yeah,
Ezekiel bread. It has lentils in it. So I guess my face dropped because this person came up to me. He's a trainer. I mean, he was 82. He told me. Was he 82 or 84? And the first thing he said was, "You don't eat dairy, do you?" And I said, "Oh, no, not for many years." And he said, "You eat carbs, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I saw your face with the Ezekiel." But then he was just going on and on about how he makes his own bread. But he's a weight trainer, and he knew, like, I wish people knew that, stay off the tea. Why do you need breast milk? You are no longer a baby. And babies have that nice fat. You think that's what, we don't want all that fat when we're older. Because that's cardiac fat, Jane. Yep. Cardiac fat is your middle.
You know what? I went into the wrong profession.
Yes.
And you know what? I didn't, because everything works out in the end. And maybe I needed to go into nursing to learn this or that. But at some point in the history of medicine, it was more psychiatry that whoever writes in National Geographic, I never know, anthropology, archaeology, whatever, people who observe animals, they blew psychiatry out of the water with these neurotransmitters. Western medicine got it all wrong. So then all the new medicines were focusing on this different neurotransmitter. But this came from people who look at animals. You never know. We're animals. You might want to start looking at this animal, the human animal, to find out that there are certain things this animal wants versus doesn't want. And if we keep doing what it doesn't want, whether that's what we're breathing or eating, we're going to start just getting very distorted and full of disease.
Yeah, because for some reason dogs can go vegan, but cats can't. And I think cats just won't. It's not that they can't. I think any animal could be plant-based because they would die out there if they were the dumb fuck that couldn't hunt. There's a lot of animals that aren't good. Like if the cat's got a pointy nose, they're not getting dinner that night. So
yeah, I had a cat, one of my favorite.
Anyway, I don't remember what I was going to say. So sorry. I'm so sorry. It had to do with vegan.
Did it twice.
I know the dogs. The dogs are going vegan. That cats, they say it would be cruel for a cat. And of course it would be, because like a human being, a cat wants to eat what they would like to eat. We would like to eat whatever. I'm just saying if I was eating burgers. But you know what? The dog is living longer, better coat, it has fewer diseases. So, hey, your dog going vegan lives longer and has fewer diseases. Why don't you try it? It's the young people. We don't even have to do anything
The young
today.
people are so smart.
They want a planet to actually sit down and have dinner on.
They want the
They
planet
would like it
to survive.
So they will force us. It's our passport says it. Not your passport, our passport. Well, I don't know what your passport says.
See, because we get a lot right over here.
Our passport literally says, move over. We are a young country with young ideas. We want young ideas. And you notice a lot of people won't retire. I say, if anything comes from this podcast, I say retire. You will enjoy your life. I don't even need my anxiety pendant anymore. Whole food, plant-based. I know we didn't touch mental health that much. Whole food, plant-based. No anxiety medicine going on here.
Well,
I don't need
all the good for you carbs
has
all the nutrients that magnesium and manganese and phosphorus and all this that you want, and all that fiber, your body's functioning.
Just Google fiber and eat it and shut up. Just fucking do it. It's fiber. It's what you want.
That is a beautiful sentiment to leave it on. I love it.
Thank you.
Jane, thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely chatting with you again. Let's not leave it 2 years next time.
Okay.
Be good to have you back on.
I hope to have
and good luck
BMI
with the book when it comes out.
What we're going to show you is that Alzheimer's ran in our family.
Oh, we're going to
genetically. My son actually had one of those DNA tests, and we are at risk of the early and the late.
And Dr. Barnard said it could be 20%. Could have just bumped it up. 80% is your diet because his parents got it too, or father. Right. And he's proving through plant-based. So we're hoping.
So let's just every few years to prove that we're very clear and coherent.
Because that's the worst disease in the whole world. Okay, bye, James.
And it'll be an epidemic in our country. Oops.
Thanks so much. It's been great.